When Paul Vergona left for work on Saturday, November 9th, 2019, he had no idea that would be his last day. Described as a law-abiding man, it begs the question, how did this man find himself entangled with the ruthless Mongols MC, and did justice finally prevail? This is a truly unfortunate twist of fate that saw these bikers face 30-plus years in jail. How did this happen? Or was it a case of mistaken identity? Prepare for a ride of a lifetime. It was Saturday, November 9th, 2 a.m. 2019. Paul was leaving home for work. But on his way to work, he embarked on his daily errand of collecting fruit and vegetables for his business. It was supposed to be another routine-filled day. Little did he know his life was about to come to a tragic end. Unbeknownst to him, a stolen Mercedes-Benz had camped opposite his house. In the car were two Mongol biker gang members, Josh Ryder and Aaron Ong. Ryder was at the tender age 20 when he joined the club, even though friends and family warned him against it. He says he wanted to leave but couldn't. Why? Because the biker club supported him while he was in prison and felt there would be a price on his head if he had left the club. He was a young man who grew up in Port Melbourne, but turned to the biker world a mere 10 years prior to the murder. Ong, on the other hand, was from Kilsyte. He became an associate of the bike club and was with them for about 5 years at the time of the shooting. He became a patch member in 2017. What about Paul Vergona? Paul lived his life as a grocer, had no known ties to any criminal activities, and was not associated with any biker clubs. So, how did this terrible tragedy unfold? The two bikers stalked the grocer. They waited outside his home for at least 2 hours until Paul left his home. Then the two bikers followed him from his home in that stolen Mercedes. Paul's first stopover was the market where he was planning on collecting his fruit and vegetables for his business, but he never made it. When Ong and Ryder found their opportunity on the freeway, they pulled up beside him and shot the van 11 times with a semi-automatic firearm. Out of those 11 shots, 7 of them struck Paul. When the police found Paul, they determined that the van had spun out of control. Paul was still buckled in behind the wheel of the van. Sadly, he may have tried to call for help in his final moments, as his phone screen was still on. As Ong and Ryder were fleeing the scene, they set their original stolen car on fire east of the city. Little did they know they were being closely monitored by the police via CCTV. The police witnessed the bikers driving off in a Volkswagen Amarok Ute just before 3 a.m. and watched as they left that car in the middle of a road in the area of Bayswater. Whilst Ong and Ryder were on the run, they both returned to a property in Murulbark where they had kept another car on the side of the road. Ong and Ryder crashed that vehicle into a road sign and left it behind at Bayswater Park. Ong and Ryder continued to flee on foot, but the two officers on the scene gave chase. During this chase, they found crucial evidence. 2 bags of clothing were found near the getaway vehicle. This bag was Ong and Ryder's undoing. It was later discovered the bag was riddled with evidence of gunshot residue with Ong's DNA all over it. Eventually, the police caught up with the offenders and arrested them for their crime. As there were so many shots fired by the two bikers, it is understood the detectives and prosecutors still cannot determine which of the 2 men had ultimately killed Paul, or even who was driving the vehicle. However, they were both in the car, which makes them guilty of the crime. If you like this video so far, subscribe and leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Paul was a businessman, a grocer, and a family man. He had 2 weeks left before retirement. He was a beloved member of the Thornbury community who are now devastated by this crime. The only action he took early that morning was going to work in the early hours of November 9th, 2019. The reasons why are still unknown. They cannot explain why this man was fatally shot by these 2 bikers. Was it a case of mistaken identity? The police seem to think so. The Supreme Court did agree with the assumption that Paul was not the target. However, this assumption is of little comfort to Paul's family, who now must find a way to live without him. But the other twist to this story is we still do not know who was their intended target, the motive behind the kill, or how they identified the wrong man. Plus, the weapon has not been found yet. Ong's barrister made the bold claim that it was almost certainly a case of mistaken identity. and the crime was certainly part of motorcycle gang activity. During the court proceedings and the sentencing, Justice Beale suggested to Ong,
"Your association with the Mongols has been disastrous," he said. "You would do well to settle once and for all any association you have with the Mongols or its members."
It has since been revealed that Ryder and Ong were supposed to be tried together, but Ryder took the chance to plead before the trial. Ong wanted to go before a jury, a decision he would later regret. Ong must now serve 25 years plus 6 months out of his 35 years before he would even be considered for parole. How did Ong react to the verdict? With anger as he shook his head in disbelief over the verdict. The jury was unanimous. Ryder pleaded guilty before the trial. As a result, Ryder must serve at least 21 years out of his 30-year sentence. The family have described Paul as someone who loved cars, bikes, sports, and of course he was a family man. He was a carefree man who was intelligent and a devoted husband and father. Regardless of the outcome of this trial, the sentencing of these biker members will never be enough for the family. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below.